So do you feel like reminiscing a little and telling us what it was like
Sure.
to be at the CrossFit Games in 2009, which was very early, right? When was the first CrossFit Games?
So 2007 was the
Okay.
first. Yep,
Okay.
2007.
Mhm.
And actually, my brother Jeremy flew out and went to that one. Now, mind you, I in 2007 had just had Savannah, so my
Wow.
daughter, who's now 16,
Yeah.
and I was just kind of coming out of that, if you will, and had just finished doing an Ironman. So right after
Wow.
I had Savannah, I trained and did
Wow.
an Ironman. And then right after my Ironman, actually, it was shortly after that I got pregnant and had then got pregnant with my son, who's 14. And so actually, so
Wow.
Jeremy went to that. In 2008, you didn't have to qualify. You went back out to the ranch in Aromas, California. And actually, we took probably about 10 athletes out there, including my husband. And I took a stone on a little pouch in the front of me. I was 3 months old, and I took him to the CrossFit Games in
Wow.
2008. And I watched everybody, and I was just like, okay, when it's time, which is actually after that, I went back home and I was like, I'm doing zone diet. I'm doing CrossFit for real. And for
So
real,
cool.
man, 3 days on, 1 day off, following.com. I
Hmm.
got my butt to class. I lost the last 10 pounds and that I had to lose. And I started just training. And then that's when they had regional for the first time. And I went to my first regional in 2009 and qualified first place at regional. And
Wow.
so that took us to the CrossFit Games and went there back to Aromas. And I'll tell you what, I really didn't know what was going on. Everything was just like, I just kind of was in it. I kept winning. I was going there. And I just thought, well, this is fun,
Yeah.
and I loved it. And because I'd also come off of the Ironman, my endurance was very high. And
Bet.
Dave
Yes.
Castro, he loved to basically, he was like, how can I kill these people in 2 days?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So pretty much, yeah. And so I had the stamina, though, that a lot of these
Right.
ladies didn't have. And so
Mhm.
that actually pushed me in. I think actually that year, the first thing we did was a 7K run. And it was up basically the mountains in Aromas on his ranch. And I came in like I think second, third, or something in
Mhm.
that heat, or whatever. And so I think that allowed me to do that. And again, I didn't know what was going on. It was my first games. I was just like, this is fun. I was
Yeah.
just like, have fun. And that is absolutely what I did. So all I know is the final event had muscle ups in it. I had done muscle ups once in my life.
Oh dear.
And all the girls in the back had the gymnastics coach back there
Mhm.
coaching him on how to do muscle ups, and I was just kind of watching him. My husband was like, "So you got this?" And I looked at him and I was like, "Yeah, I got this." And all I kept doing was just like visualizing myself doing muscle ups.
Wow.
That's it. I didn't touch the rings. I was like, I'm not even going to do that. I don't want to jump up and fail and put something negative in my hand. So I
Mm.
literally just visualized myself while everybody was like was kind of panicking. And I get out there, and my husband literally, I got the first muscle up, and he looked over at whoever he was standing next to in the crowd. He was like, "Oh my gosh, that's the first time she's ever done muscle ups."
Oh my
So
That's
gosh.
it was
amazing.
like 10 muscle ups. I got through
Wow.
that. I was bleeding down my wrist because the rings had torn me. And
Yeah.
I looked like just a warrior out there. There's pictures of me like
Wow.
blood dripping and I'm making faces. And so nonetheless, we finished that event. And to be honest, I had no idea where things shook out. I think there were so many ties and, all these different levels and people not doing good and then doing awesome. And lo and behold, I got third. And I was just
Wow.
like, okay, here we are, again, kind of not even knowing what the heck I was doing. But anyway, got third. All I knew was at that point, I was like, this is what I'm doing. Let's go. So it was fun. I just had fun, to be honest.
Mhm.
That first year was all about fun. Then, of course, you have to level up when you get invited back. And we went
Yeah.
Mhm.
to the Stub Hub in Carson. So they moved it, they put it in the arena. I was like, okay, this is getting serious.
Mhm.
And, and so went back. I don't really actually remember how I finished in 2010, but we took a couple other athletes and another team. And then in 2011, I specifically remember this. I went to my coach and I kind of thought it was a fluke. I won in 9. I got to go back in 2010, and I was kind of like, maybe I actually suck, and this is hard for me, and maybe I'm not good. And so I went to my coach, and I literally said to him, I sat him down. I was like, we need to have a meeting. I looked at him, and I said, do you think I have what it takes to go back and qualify? Because that year I was going to have to go to regional and qualify. And he looked at me like, he literally looked at me kind of like, you're what? He goes, yes, absolutely. And literally in that moment, because I really did, I did question myself, and I thought it was a fluke, maybe, and it was just early days, and maybe that's just happened. And he looked at me and he was like, absolutely. And so right then in that moment, I made a decision. I was like, I'm going back to the CrossFit Games. And so we started training. There was 3 girls I worked out with, and Lindsay Smith and Lisa Bender. And she, all 3 of us went to Tomball, Texas that year. We swept the podium. We took 1st, 2nd, 3rd at regional. We all went to the CrossFit Games in 2011, and it was freaking amazing. Went back to Carson, and I was just like, this is awesome. And it was another amazing year. So I didn't qualify. I did finish top 20 that year, but anyway, so it was super fun. And then the following year I went on team, but it's been fun. I've had a good time doing all of it.
Mm-hmm. Has your brother gone to the games?
So yes, in the earlier days for sure. So my brother did 2007, 8, 9. And then he went on the team in 10, and then he went on the team. I actually competed. We were on the team together in 2012, and then that's kind of where his career ended. I went back in 2014 to regional, and I was at that point aging. I was 39, so it wasn't yet a master's. They hadn't done masters at 40 yet, and it was 2014. I was 39. I qualified. I went to regional. One of the older athletes regional, one of us an individual, and I was doing the last workout of the last day. They had overhead. We had to do like 60 or 72 pull-ups. It was something 72 pull-ups, and the last thing was overhead squat, 735 pounds for 7 reps, and that was challenging for me. And it's not that many reps, but that way. Yeah. And I put the bar on my back. I push pressed it up. It was probably split jerk. I let go of the freaking bar because I wanted to finish the workout, and so I didn't let go of the bar, but instead my elbow snapped.
Oh dear.
Oh yeah. It was basically, I had an avulsion of the tendons in my elbow. So it's basically like a baseball player when they have Tommy John. They basically tear the tendons and ligaments in their elbow. And that's what happened. And so literally they dragged me off the floor. It was the 7th rep. It comes crashing down. Didn't finish, of course. They take me. So that year in 2015, he said, Carey, we can have surgery. We have an amazing elbow after that, or we can see if it heals. It could heal. So I was like, okay, let's go for the no surgery and see what happens. Totally healed. That year in 2015, I actually qualified from the Open to go back to regional. It was an online because I had made it. That was masters at that point. I went ahead and did the masters qualification, listening, to my elbow. It did allow me to do everything, but I missed it by 7 spots. So that next year, I was like, shit, if I did that and I'm like this, then I think I can go back. So I declared it. I said, I'm going to the CrossFit Games in 2016 as a masters. And I put my head down and I trained. I got a coach. And I went back to the CrossFit Games, and that's the year I finished 7th.
Wow.
So, and that was fun too. That was fun to go out there. I got to compete against Annie Sakamoto, and I'd been doing seminars and stuff with her since the beginning. She was one of my first coaches. So it was super fun to get to compete with her on the field, and of course all the other ladies, and everybody's awesome out there. So, but that was fun. So yeah, that's what I'm retired. Screw this, I'm retiring. No, just kidding.
What was the camaraderie like, and has it changed? Because, obviously from the outside looking in at how the games have progressed, it's a very different situation now where it's full-time professional athletes that are the ones competing. So did you notice a change, a shift as the games went on, of it wasn't as like, I don't know, all buddy, or?
Yeah, I will say this about the masters. There's 100% a connection, and everybody like shares instead of kind of like hides. So that is something I noticed there. And even though I will say for even the younger athletes too, I think initially not so much, and you are going there to do business. So, but I do think the younger athletes, they don't have quite that connection as the older athletes. There's always cutting up in the back with the older crew, kind of making jokes, and then you get on the field and you take care of business, But I will say definitely the sport in general obviously has changed. I will say I think there's a more serious level to it. Obviously, there's lots of money on the line. Just like you said, these are professional athletes. They're taking they take their full day to train, rest, and recover. And so there is definitely change. I think back in the day, it was more like a festival. And if you've ever spectated the games, even for the spectators, it's kind of festival-like. But back then, for the athletes and the spectators, I mean, we were, in the crowd of the spectators underneath tents, in aromas, getting dirty in the dirt, literally, figuring it out. And, now it's just such on a different level. Yeah. But, again, it's still fun, but it's definitely, obviously, it's changed for sure.
What has surprised you most about how it's evolved?
I think for sure it is unreal how strong these women and these men are. Obviously being a woman, I'm literally like, oh my gosh, like it's just dumbfounding to me. And it's loud, like for even me, it's like, if you just train and you put your mindset to it, you can absolutely be as strong as you ever wanted to be. And I think for women, and I even have women come in, I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get big. I don't want to lift that much. And I really think what they're saying is, of course they don't want to get that big and bulky. I mean, I'm not sure I want to be that big and bulky or whatever it is, to each his own. But I'm like, do you know how hard it is to actually do that?
Right.
Like y'all would have to come train with me like 6 hours a day, and I'm going to put you on such a high amount of food. You're going to be like, Carey, do I have to eat anymore? You're going to be mad about it. So I'm like, stop worrying about that. Get your butt in here. Now, what I will say is, like, if you don't connect your nutrition to your training program, you probably aren't going to absolutely get the results you want. So you do have to do that. But it's just, you have to work so hard to get that. But, what's changed, what looks different, it's just, it brings, what I love about it is it's inspiring, at all different levels. It's just like, what do you want, and let's get the right person to coach you or get the right information in your hands so that you can have it, and then push for it and go for it. And strong is beautiful. And women, I think that embrace that versus kind of run away or shy away from it. It's like when you pick, and you ladies know, when you go to a deadlift bar and you pick some heavy weight up, man, it feels good. It feels great. Or when you catch a clean, and it's smooth and you stand up a front squat, it's like, oh my God, that was actually fun. And you kind of like, I want to do that again, And so I think that if you'll allow yourself to walk into that versus kind of being like, ooh, that's kind of gross or manly, it's like, So, but yeah, so I think the sport of it is the evolution of it is definitely out of my league now. But also when I say that, it's like, I still want to compete, and it reminds me, what do I want? And I still get in the gym and I like to beat everybody, and that feels good, So I think that we always have to put something out there that pushes us, and that kind of puts us in a position that's kind of scary, so that we can elevate ourselves and level up. And that's a challenge that I would say, don't let that get dormant inside you, because it's in a way I see it like growth, like mental growth, having more knowledge, or, just learning. We constantly need to learn as we age, because that's a part of our brain staying functional, and especially as we age. So that's why I love CrossFit too. You have to think about the clean. You have to think about the snatch. You have to think about some of these things. You can't, I tell my ladies, I'm like, don't come in here and be dumb. Y'all chatty Cathy's in here, like, don't come in here and you can't be dumb and think you're going to lift heavy weights and be safe. It's like, be a smart athlete and listen, and give this space, respect the space and the time you put in here. This is your time to get strong, give yourself love and attention, and grow from it. And, I want people women, to hear that and go, oh yeah, and take it a little bit more serious in that respect, and of course have fun.